The IORL is back on Pit Stop TV as the 2021 season starts to wind down. The 14th stop on the tour brings us to a relatively new concept course that the sim rolled out a little over 1 month ago, a street circuit in Chicago, Illinois. So far, we've seen 9 different winners in the first 13 races, with Rick Rayvon leading the championship standings with a series-leading 3 wins to boot. Now he and the rest of the IORL field is set to embark on the final road and street race of the season. Will we see a 10th different winner in the Windy City for 2021? And will the championship tighten up even further with just 3 races left to go? This is round 14 of the 2021 International Online Racing League from Chicago, and it's coming at you live on Pit Stop TV. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural Grand Prix of Chicago for the IORL on this brand new track that was made up just before the NASCAR Pro Invitational event to try to help potentially lobby what may one day be a true and legitimate racetrack. I'm Eric Brennan, going to be joined on the call tonight by JP Costa, Trey Shuttlesworth handling our production duties. And take a look at this track here, JP. A lot of the guys who have had a chance to get in here in these open-wheel vehicles have said one thing. This place is tough. It is narrow, it is unforgiving, and it's going to provide perhaps the biggest challenge of the season for some of these IORL competitors.
Yes, exactly. I mean, on a street course, on open wheel cars, especially IndyCars, is going to be one massive challenge for these guys. And as you mentioned, it's a brand new track on the surface, so probably not a lot of practice, not a track that everybody's kind of used to at this point in time. And with 12 corners to go, most of them being 90-degree corners, we're in for a challenge. As I said, it's bumpy, it's going to be narrow, so overtaking is going to be quite difficult for these guys, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a great show in qualifying and on the race here tonight.
And pretty much going to be a challenge every time these guys are on the racetrack. You see all the 90-degree corners that are made up on this venue, down past the start-finish line, towards the left-hander at turn 1, truly making up the block type of shape that outline the streets of Chicago. You get a little bit of a unique perspective as they start to pan right towards turns 3 and turn 4, then another sharp 90-degree right-hander at turn 5. Back to another 90-degree left-hander at turn 6, another 90-degree right-hander at turn 7. And when I say that these corners are tight and unforgiving, we'll show it to you a little bit once qualifying gets underway. A little bit of a bend through turns 8, 9, and 10 before they get back on South Michigan Avenue, another right-hander at turn 11, and then, surprise, surprise, another right-handed corner at turn 12 to complete the lap here on this 2.19-mile course. Now, this race originally intended to be a little bit longer than what we're going to see here tonight. It's going to be 47 laps in total with a time limit on it as well. We'll see how these drivers are able to navigate this course throughout the duration of this 47-lap contest. Now, the championship standings, we mentioned all the different winners that we've had this season. As a matter of fact, our very own Trey Shuttlesworth, who is producing tonight's event, won the last race out at Watkins Glen International when they were running the classic boot course there the last time the IRL was in competition. Unfortunately, he's not able to get behind the wheel of his virtual race car tonight. He has to step in and help us put the show on. But you do see Rick Rayvon pretty much having a stranglehold on the championship, despite only making 8 of the 12 starts thus far. Also, Reed Sweeney, another driver, has only had 8 starts so far this season. He, too, has gone to victory lane. And Spencer Ray, who has made just about every race for the most part, is working his way up the standings, third, 16 back. But one thing that I noticed, JP, that jumps out here right away are some of the names that have not yet visited victory lane, like a Brendan Madonia, like a Zach Buchanan. You go down the list a little bit here. We very well, including our very own Corey Rexford, who's in the field tonight. However, he too says this place is going to be a bit of a handful. We may very well see our 10th different winner here tonight.
Yes, exactly. That is very much a possibility. But, you know, some of these guys that you mentioned that haven't won a race yet, they show how important it is to be consistent in a championship. Rick Rayvon won 3 races, but he's still only 17 points ahead of Madonia. So consistency is the key for the championship. And if these guys can keep it up and maybe even put out a race win here tonight, well, they're going to be in sport for possibly even leading the championship here tonight.
So there's a lot to still be decided here with 3 races left to go. And as we said in the introduction, it's the last road and street race of the season. After this, we're going to be heading on to 2 ovals. We'll tell you more about that after the opportunity here. In fact, as we are on board with some of these guys who are struggling, here's a look at how the schedule is going to wind down. As you can see, we're here tonight at the Chicago Street Course. Then in 1 week from tonight, it'll be the Kentucky Speedway, a track which the IndyCar Series doesn't race on anymore as far as a particular oval. And that trend continues to the season finale. The long time and long standing, not only kart, but also back in the IRL days, season finale, the Fontana, California, the 2-mile oval that will be no longer in a couple of years from now, but will live on forever in the sim. The California 500 on August 11th will be the season finale for the IORL competitors, and judging by the championship standings, we can expect this title fight to come down to the very end. We can also expect tonight's race to be a bit treacherous. I will tell you, judging by just some of the images we've seen through practice so far, a lot of these guys have been having their hands full on this racetrack, and we've seen multiple incidents and a number of examples of how tough this place could be with all the 90-degree corners that we've got, and we expect that to continue as we roll on into qualifying and eventually for our 47-lap event. With that, we've got a lot more to divulge and tell you about as we get into this broadcast tonight for this IORL Season 12 event here, the inaugural Grand Prix of Chicago. We'll tell you more about tire choice, fuel limit, and so much more when we come back on the other side. You are watching the IORL on Pit Stop TV from Chicago. We'll be coming back for qualifying in just a moment.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Chicago, Illinois for the Chicago Street Race that will be taking place here tonight for the IORL in their 14th race of the 2021 season, their 12th season of IORL competition on a racetrack that many have used some pretty daunting words to try to describe. Now, I will say the people at iRacing did a phenomenal job, as you could tell by some of the scenic shots here as we hover over the virtual Lake Michigan. They did an amazing job capturing the Chicago backdrop that will outline this course if it truly was to come to fruition. I believe this was a little bit of a bullet in the barrel to perhaps try to make this event happen on the NASCAR slate in the not-too-distant future with their newer car. But J.P. Costa, when it comes to IndyCar racing on a street circuit, we've seen that before. Long Beach, Toronto. I don't know if we've ever seen a track that truly resembles the Chicago street course layout.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whenever we talk about street courses, obviously some of the big names come out. Obviously Long Beach, Toronto, we can even relate to F1 in Monaco or Baku. But, you know, this one is just different. You know, it's a relatively simple racetrack, simple layout, but it just brings out so many challenges. Obviously a lot of 90-degree corners, and some of them flow really fast. You know, it's not that tight 90-degree corners that we're kind of used to in some street courses. So it's a really big challenge to get these cars obviously set up in the right way. And, you know, being a new track as well, you know, these drivers probably don't have as much confidence in some other tracks, let's say Long Beach, that have been on the service for quite a while. So these drivers obviously going to have a handful, not only being a street course with walls, you know, within a few meters of their cars, a few centimeters at some points, but obviously, you know, just being so bumpy under braking, under acceleration, these drivers are going to have a lot of challenges here tonight. We saw on the pre-race show a few drivers struggling on corner exit and corner entry, hitting walls, spinning out. So it's going to be a big challenging these 47 laps around this 12 corner circuit.
There's a lot of other variables that are going to come into play in tonight's race, and some of which we've already touched on here. But we'll go back and kind of hit the reset button on what we can expect to see as far as strategy. And as we mentioned here tonight, we've got Trey Shuttlesworth, who was the most recent winner on the IORL side. So he actually provided a lot of information for JP and I to kind of feed to you viewers and listeners as to what we can expect to see tonight. Now, Trey admitted that he didn't really have an opportunity to kind of test the fuel window to see how far it may go, as they have set it at 70% for this 47-lap race. Now, they do have 5 sets of tires in the pit, so they're going to have the set of tires in which they qualify on and will start on, and then they'll have 5 additionals in the pit area as well. Also, there is 1 fast repair available for the competitors, and I think, JP, that's going to be the biggest factor of this event. We've only got 11 cars so far that have signed up to compete here tonight, so the field's a little bit lighter than what some of us were hoping for, but this could truly turn out to be a night of survival. It's ironically similar to how we kicked things off at the season opener at Long Beach, which that worked out very well for the likes of the Scottless Rambler, who went on to win there, but he is not in the field here tonight. So this is kind of wide open for a number of drivers to have an opportunity to break through here. But keeping your car in one piece, keeping it out of the wall, and saving that fast repair, or maybe not even using it at all, could go a long way in how your night unfolds.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure each and every single driver here won't be wanting to use that fast repair anytime in the race, but, you know, it could definitely be a possibility. We can see just how tight it is, how, you know, how incredibly bumpy it is under braking, and how close you get to the barriers. As you can see, Cole Frelick just inching close to that tire barrier, and, well, it's going to be a game of precision. In order for you to overtake, you're going to have to be brave under braking. You're going to have a lot of grip in that tires and a lot of confidence in your car. So it's going to be a big challenge for these guys. Even at the pit entry, it's kind of tricky, but I'm pretty sure if any of these guys can do it, everybody can. And, well, I just can't wait to see what 47 laps around this racing flat out will look like.
I have to admit there, watching Frelick come through the turn 7, 8, and 9 complex, I did wince a little bit, as I thought for sure he was going to catch the concrete on driver's left. Also interesting here to watch some of these drivers work their way around this facility. How about Matt Chubb? This is somebody who went to victory lane in the biggest race of the IORL season, the Indianapolis 500, the 12th annual Indianapolis 500, presented by Slothy Racing. Ironically, the driver who heads up Slothy Racing was the one who we were just on board with, in Cole Frelick, who is in this field here tonight as well. He, too, is looking to find victory lane, but Chubb has set the bar exceptionally high here with a quick lap of just over, was 1 minute and 13 seconds, but that's going going to be eclipsed now by Cuthbertson, who goes to P1 with a 1 minute 11 second lap. And, you know, JP, sometimes we see IndyCar racing or events, not only on ovals, but even on some of the purpose-built road courses, the margins in qualifying, especially we've seen it on the IndyCar side in 2021 in the real-life setting, the field is usually incredibly tight, even with the two different engine providers, mostly a spec design, spec car, so that's something that keeps the times close. But on a track of this caliber, where not everyone has an abundance of experience, we could see somebody like Cuthbertson kind of set themselves out ahead of the field and, you know, maybe even dominate this session, or dare I say even the race, by a relatively large margin. All the ingredients are there for someone to hit the nail on the head tonight.
Yeah, exactly. We all have to remember that each and every single drivers everyone has their preferences when it comes to racing. You know, some drivers do love this massive challenge of a street course, you know, the bumpiness, the precision that you have to have, the confidence of not being able to lift even though you think you're gonna hit the barrier. And well, Cuthbertson might be that guy, you know, he might just have that extra level of confidence that's gonna help out. He goes even faster this time, so it could be his night. You know, he could pull out an amazing, he has over nearly a 2-second gap to second place. So, you know, time will tell if this is a racetrack, but in qualifying it certainly looked like it. But, you know, there's a few drivers that I'm still looking out for to set their lap times, but I mean, look at that gap, 1.9 seconds. That just brings out confidence in the driver.
Obviously putting himself in a position to be the favorite here as Cuthbertson continues to try to log some pretty quick laps to get himself into an opportunity here. Let's take this opportunity to thank some of the people who make these broadcasts possible here on what is a busy night for the Pit Stop TV crew. We've actually got dual broadcasts going on. We have Emerson Arden and Company handling the Outlaw Sim series over on a sister stream, and a lot of this is all in part by some of our amazing partners here, including our friends at Tucson Sound Art. Remember, your picture, your music. Use the promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off your wall-mounted sound art device today. We also want to take this time to thank our partner over at Race Pace. Race Pace is somebody who I would be leaning on for sure when it comes to the opportunity to get around the Chicago street course, which Cuthbertson oversteps the boundaries there a little bit. Race Pace is, in fact, a community-driven setup shop and driver development program. You can check them out so that way you can assure that you pick up the pace at Race Pace. That's not all, of course, as we do have more partners on the platform as well, including our friends at Permanent Makeup in Maine. Visit their website, permanentmakeupinmaine.com, because you deserve the best care that money can buy. We also want to take this opportunity as qualifying winds down for the IORL to give a shout out to a few more partners that we have here as well, including that of BAM Racing Videos, by a race fan and for the racing community. We saw there Cuthbertson taking advantage of all of the runoff that he had at his disposal. And we'll give one more shout out to our parent company, Whiplash Media. They are the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. Cuthbertson remains on the racetrack and remains the quickest for the time being over the 500 winner in Matt Chubb, while Cole Freilich is third. Our own Corey Rexford is fourth. And then we have Walsh in the fifth position, and Jake Walsh, that is. Only one other car has taken a lap here. 6 of the 11 cars that were entered into the session here tonight. Evan Stammer in the field. That's a name that I've seen before in the karting ranks. Matter of fact, I believe that Stammer has moved up in a sister form, or in fact a feeder series of open wheel racing competitions. So I'm going to do a little bit of research on my end here. But I'm pretty sure that Stammer, in fact, moved up from the karting ranks after running in the Margay Ignite Series. And yes, Stammer is, in fact, a current rookie for Ignite Autosport and USF 2000. I remember watching the press conference when he teamed up with Spike Kohlbecker. And he elected to come out here. We haven't seen Stammer put a time down just yet, but nevertheless, it is interesting to see Evan's name on the entry blank as Jake Walsh finds the barrier here. And JP, time's starting to run out. Some of these guys really finding the edge here. Not sure if everyone's going to be able to make it out and kind of get a lap down, but so far, Cuthbertson is putting himself atop the list of the odds makers for sure.
Yeah, exactly. He just seems to be able to set the pace so high, as we can see another driver struggling. So we're seeing quite a few drivers struggling on corner exit and on corner entry. So quite a few different ways you can, I guess, kind of lose the car, lose the balance of the car. So it's really interesting. But, you know, even though the gap is 1.7 seconds to second place, the gap between second and third is only less than just over a tenth of a second. And between third and fourth and fifth, it's just a few tenths of a second. So even though it's quite a large gap to P1, the rest of the grid seems to be kind of close up. So it brings hope to maybe one driver learning from one another, and hopefully they can catch Cuthbertson in P1.
Cuthbertson has kind of put himself in a league of his own here for tonight's inaugural Chicago Grand Prix on a track that is certainly going to be demanding. We mentioned the race going to be 47 laps in total. Caution flags will be at the officials' discretion. We saw a few of them on the race that we covered in the season opener at the Grand Prix of Long Beach to kick off the season. But we expect this to be the toughest task that this field will face in 2021 before back-to-back ovals to crown a season champion for the IORL. And this Chicago street course, which, you know, I had a chance to kind of go back and watch some of the highlights of the Pro Invitational race that was held here. And again, that was held with the next generation NASCAR car that'll be coming out, hopefully full-time next year. As a matter of fact, teams are starting to receive those vehicles this week, or at least they're starting to be delivered to the teams by the end of this week. And that style of car on this type of track obviously going to behave a little bit differently than these IndyCars will. But boy, I'll tell you, we talked about the fact that our Pit Stop TV crew is spread relatively thin here throughout the night. Well, there's a number of ways you can check out and stay abreast of all that we have going on. Facebook.com/PitStopTV. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to check out all the action that we've got, not only for the remaining 3 IORL races of 2021. We also have the Outlaw Sim Series going on tonight. We got GT3 action tomorrow. North next Tuesday. We'll run down the schedule later on, but that is the links down below, how you can stay up to speed with all that is happening here on our platform at Pit Stop TV. We got some more exciting news to tell you about as well. We'll tell you a little bit later on. But first, let's look at how the field is going to roll off here for the start of this race. Kyle Cuthbertson in the number 34 on pole. Matt Chubb, the Indy 500 winner, going to line up alongside. That's your front row for this inaugural Chicago Grand Prix with Cuthbertson, the class of the field so far. Cole Fralick's going to line up in third spot. And Corey Rexford, a pair of hands who have helped us out on the platform here on Pit Stop TV, making up row number 2. They're going to start alongside one another here. And taking you back to row number 3, we will show you Jake Walsh and Paul Foodie. I'll double check on the pronunciation of Paul's name. I believe this is his first start of the season. But JP, that's your first 3 rows.
Starting in row number 4, we do have Nate Stewart on the inside lane and Zach Buchanan on the number 4 on the outside lane. In row number 5, we do have the 53 of Evan Stammer on the 53 and the number 14 of Matt Skipper on the 10th place on the outside lane. As driver starts to roll out, the last guy to line up is going to be Brendan Madonia on the 11th place on his number 49 IndyCar.
That is your field. Again, 11 cars strong as they roll off here for their parade and pace lap before they get set to be unleashed again on the streets of Chicago. These roads do, in fact, exist in the actual Windy City. It's one of the things that we saw a number of drivers kind of excited about, because this announcement kind of came out of nowhere for the most part. And by the time it became public knowledge, they were already rolling it out for implementation and purchase for all of which who enjoy the sim racing end of motorsports, especially if you're a road and street course fan, and this is the first time that we see this track on the IORL schedule. It was a late ad. It was something that a lot of the representatives and moderators of the series were excited about for obvious reasons, and we will see how this race ends up coming down for 47 laps. Also, one other element we want to touch on. We mentioned Trey Shuttlesworth and his experience in this series. There is push to pass available. It's going to be 10 allotments of 15 seconds. The straightaways may not be long enough to fully take advantage of that, but it's something that we're going to try to do our best to keep tabs on here as this race unfolds tonight. Surviving the race, surviving lap 1, perfecting the pit strategy, and perhaps staying married to those red Firestone tires throughout the duration of this event, as they have been the go-to option if you can make them last long enough to match your pit strategy. As a lot of drivers have said, being on the blacks is like driving on ice. as if getting around this track wasn't hard enough already. We see them now a half a lap away from the green flag. A couple of names we're going to keep an eye on. Obviously, the fastest driver in the field, and Kyle Cuthbertson, who, as we mentioned, already went to victory lane. And no surprise, it was on another tight and technical road course that was at Mid-Ohio 3 races ago. He's going to try to grab win number 2 here as the season starts to wind down. We'll see if he could pull it off. He's going to have Matt Chubb, the Indy 500 winner, starting up alongside. Chubb also comes in tonight, 7th in championship standings. We'll see what he has in store, while the rest of the pack is going to be hungry to try to get up, through, and around to lay claim for this inaugural Grand Prix of Chicago for the IORL. The pace car will duck off into pit road momentarily, and the field will be in the hands of the fastest driver so far today by a large margin in Kyle Cuthbertson. We'll see if everybody could survive the event with only one quick repair in the bank, and they got to survive lap 1, and they got to survive turn 1. Here they come for the green flag. Cuthbertson leads us down to the start. Look up there, that's Jake Walsh into the side of, I believe that was Chubb, and it was. And a big crash in turn 1, and the caution is out after Walsh went very, very hard in the first corner and speared the side of the IORL Indy 500 winner.
Well, that was a late move. I saw that on a live replay, and I was like, well, he's probably not going to make that corner. Unfortunately, he did it, and, well, we're going to see on the replay just... It's an unfortunate, obviously lap 1 is then sometimes you just kind of lose track of where the braking zone is. You're on the inside, the tires are not that hot, but you can see just on the 3rd lane, that yellow and blue car just unfortunately loses, has to react. At that point, he's locking up. He has absolutely no grip on the front tires, and unfortunately, he takes out 2 other cars with him. Luckily, as you mentioned, Eric, they do have one fast repair, but, well, that has gone to waste on lap 1, corner number 1.
Now, unfortunately, there, it looked like Cole Freilich was trying to be, I'll call him the wise veteran there. He wanted to make sure that he didn't get too deep in the corner and risk tagging the back gearbox of Cuthbertson's car. And I think by doing that, it forced Walsh to react. That's when we saw that abrupt move to driver's left there. And at that point, he was already carrying too much speed. And Freilich gets swept up in it. Zach Buchanan's got front wing damage. So 4 cars total involved in the crash. And the biggest gainer on that is going to be that of Evan Stamer, the USF 2000 driver that we talked about for Ignite Autosport, who's in the field tonight, one of the all-stars that I saw join the entry list here. And right now, Stamer is going to move up to that 2nd spot. So that's good for him. Buchanan currently scored in 3rd, but you look at the damage to Cole Freilich's car with the right front kind of flapping around on the wing there. No front wing on that car, and the nose cone is hanging on by a thread, and he's going to bin it under caution.
Yeah, just absolutely no grip. Somehow that car is still kind of drivable, so I'm pretty sure he's just going to be trying to manage that car back into pit lane. But yeah, not a great start for some of these drivers, but luckily for them, they do have that fast repair that we mentioned, and they do still have well over 40 laps of racing, so they can definitely make that time back. Hopefully they can all get back to the lead lap, and hopefully we can see another restart, and hopefully this time everybody will make it through, because I'm pretty sure this racetrack can provide great racing once it gets going.
Well, that slows the field here, and now we're going to have to see who's going to be able to get out on time. I would imagine that the likes of a Walsh or a Chubb, especially considering the fact that they are shown a lap down, they had to take the tow back to the pit area, so that put them behind the 8 ball right off the jump. And at that point, you may be forced to take your fast repair here. I don't know if there's an opportunity to try to save it or hold on to it, but we do see a couple of cars here being waved around the pace car, it looks like. So not quite sure what may have happened on this end here, as we saw Corey Rexford, who is a little bit further back. Cuthbertson is being told to come around here and catch up to the tail of the field, it looks like. So Rexford's going to be able to roll through. And we still have yet to see Jake Walsh and Matt Chubb rejoin the running order. They have both now fallen 2 laps down as the field now catches up to the backside of the Porsche pace car, and we will wait for the rest of the field.
I'm not pretty sure, but I saw Kyle Cuthbertson kind of just moving, kind of just driving quickly, probably getting a bit of the hang to the track on full load. Obviously, he was trying to catch up to the safety car, to the pace car, as the pace car obviously came out after the crash, and they had to do 2 laps to catch up to the back, but I'm pretty sure he got quite a bit of practice. Not only him, but a few drivers behind him got a bit of practice on how this car is handling under full load of obviously full fuel, a bit of wear and tear on the tires, and obviously the track kind of rubbering in. So I'm pretty sure these guys probably know how the car will feel in the next few laps, and that may allow them to not only race some of the drivers, but try to go for overtakes if they did it.
Great point in terms of talking about the handling of these cars and how that's going to evolve as the race goes on. And judging by all the problems that everybody seemed to have in practice, I'm not sure that anybody really knows what they have underneath them in a long run setting. The initial practice was set up for about 50 minutes or so. All the cars that we were cutting to kind of check in on or see how things were unfolding, a lot of them did not look good. It looked like a lot of guys were struggling a little bit as far as having a chance to get the cars underneath them or get the setup underneath them, and it was pretty tough. So we'll see if anybody is able to understand or get the opportunity to get some sort of long run kind of feel to their race, and of course that's going to hinge on the fact as to whether or not we're going to be able to stay green for that long of a period of time. Now, we've got some exciting news to pass along to our viewers and listeners, and I understand there's already been some interest generated in this. Now, one of the things we were talking about on our platform, Andrew Cardinale IV, somebody who loves this IORL series. As a matter of fact, he's made an IORL start in 2021, but he, of course, is one of the men who heads up the true front lines at Pit Stop TV, and he does so much for all the series that we cover. But he's also very heavily involved in the real-world side of motorsports. This last night, he was at Charlotte Motor Speedway with NBC Sports Track Pass. Tonight, he's at Lanier Speedway with NBC Sports Track Pass. And he also travels a lot with the Cars Late Model Tour. Well, a new partnership has been derived between Pit Stop TV and the Cars Late Model Tour for the Cars Esports Tour that is back. Entries are open to all Cars Tour competitors as well as other select short-track stars and iRacers. The Cars Esports Tour races will be held on Wednesday nights with practice opening at 6 p.m. Eastern. So as this IORL season starts to wind down, that's going to open up the opportunity for some of these drivers perhaps to get involved. For more information, go to pitstoptv.com/Cars Esports Tour. There's a $10 entry fee for competitors, but all the information you need is there. pitstoptv.com/Cars Esports Tour. And we want to give the best of luck to our buddy Andrew Cardinale IV down at Lanier tonight. He is somebody who has been working very, very hard on all fronts, and can't wait to have him back on the call for some of these races here, as hopefully that midweek schedule starts to lighten up towards the end of the summer months. JP, I know that we only got one straightaway in under green. What's the mindset going to be for some of these guys here? Just try to get a clean lap in?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Kyle wants to probably get the best start possible. Obviously, luckily for him, they're probably going to line up single file, so he will dictate the pace, probably get a better jump. But obviously, some of these drivers lining up single file will probably help them quite a bit, keeping it clean, at least through turn one. But obviously, after that, it's just going to be a normal race. Everybody wants to be making a position. Some drivers might be a bit more careful than others. Some drivers might be a bit more aggressive. But I'm pretty sure the general consensus is just being as clean as possible, because I guess everybody just has way more fun driving at nearly 200 miles an hour with wall just closing in really quickly.
So they had an opportunity here to try to see if we could get a few of these laps in. Also, been made aware that pretty much everybody from fifth on back, from Zach Buchanan on back, did stop under that yellow flag, exception being that of Corey Rexford, who was trying to catch up to the back of the field. So we'll see how that pans out. Also, looks like Matt Chubb and Jake Walsh were able to get at least one of their laps back here, so they are both one lap down. And we'll see if we're able to survive the first corner this time here as we get set for the restart. So Cuthbertson remains in the lead. Evan Stammer, the new runner up there, the USF 2000 competitor who's in the field here tonight. Driver who has flexed his muscle many a time in the karting ranks as well as in open-wheel vehicles. Going to be very interesting to see what Stammer has for Cuthbertson, who is the class of the field in qualifying. The pace car pulls off. We're going to restart this race on lap 5. Let's try it again, shall we? We'll see if the field makes it through turn 1 as we're back underway from Chicago. Dahmer and company under attack as Nate Stewart is the car on the move. Up to third is Adam Stewart, who also has a win to his credit this season. Last one came at the Gateway Oval a couple of races ago. He now, though, is getting passed back by Skipper, as Stewart may have a problem, as a matter of fact. A quick momentary glimpse there. And it appears as though that Stewart may have lagged out of the session. Fortunately, he pulled aside. We've yet to see him rejoin. Dahmer back to second, I should say. Skipper to fourth.
Dream start for Cuthbertson as both drivers, second and third, went side by side through turn one. As we do have pretty much a side spinner, Zach Buchanan, just kind of held it on amazingly, just held the brake pedal and got it going. As we do have a spinner, who is that? That looks like, oh, that's Matt Skipper. So unfortunately for him, he spun probably on the tightest part of the circuit. He's going to be doing a 3-point turn, so he drops back quite a few positions. Not going to be taking a lot of damage on that rear wing, and he's going to be feeding himself back in 8th place. But, well, what a start from everybody.
May have had something happen to our leader. Cuthbertson has fallen down the pylon here, and the caution is out. First, we're going to look and see what happened to Skipper. Got back on the throttle here, coming off one of the 90-degree corners. Skipper spins, no contact. However, was able to get the car rerighted here. This is coming through the dual right-handers. I believe that might have been turns 11 and 12 for Skipper. So we're not able to get an opportunity to get back under the green flag here or keep that race under green. But look at this. Cuthbertson is down to 8th. Not seeing any major damage on his car, but we did see the name run down the running order, or fall down the running order, putting Evan Dahmer in the lead. And let's try to see what happened here to the guy who we thought was untouchable throughout the night. And boy, it looks like this thing's going to come around on him quick, getting back to the power.
Well, yeah, exactly. So kind of what we were afraid. We were talking about in practice how the cars were unstable and every single driver was kind of losing their car. As you can see, this is just coming out of the fast 8, 9, 10 section. And I'm not pretty sure if he clipped kind of the inside wall of turn number 10 or the car just kind of was lost in the bumps. Where we're going to be taking a look in here. He's just going to be, no, he's just lost it. So under high speed with downforce, the car just kind of lost. He has a bit of damage to that front wing, so that's probably going to affect him a bit. So a really, really weird incident. Not under braking, I'm pretty sure. So, well, just shows how unstable these cars are under high speed and under the bumps of Chicago.
First time that I've been able to take notice as to how bumpy this section of the racetrack is. This is coming through turn 9 and the right-hander at turn 10, and you kind of want to stay in the gas as long as you can. And if that back end gets light enough and the car steps sideways, first off, Cuthbertson is very lucky he did not clobber the inside retaining wall. He had enough speed and momentum at that point where he really could have made some significant contact with the wall. He did scrape the front wing along the concrete. Not sure if it was enough to disrupt or dislodge the potential of that wing having to be in need of repair. But at this point, he's the last car on the lead lap. I would almost risk trying to come in and get it tweaked on if the opportunity presents itself. We now have 3 cars that are a lap down. Nate Stewart, with a heartbreaker, was up to running in the 3rd spot when he evidently lagged out of the session. Jake Walsh was 1 lap down after the turn 1 lap 1 crash, and we understand that Stewart has not returned to the session just yet. And Matt Chubb was shown as the first car 1 lap down, so we'll see if we'll get the opportunity here to get a wave around, or if the IORL officials do kind of take the old school IndyCar rules, which they very well might, and he may be forced to try to earn that lap back on his own. We see Paul Foddy on the pit lane after he was running at about the 6th spot, and Cuthbertson is going to follow through, perhaps maybe to get one of those 5 sets that are in the pit area for him, or maybe even to try to repair a little bit of damage that would be on the left front wing of his number 34 car. So JP, the early favorite, in early trouble as the laps start to click off. Even though we're under caution, we have yet to run a full lap under green. And when we restart, there will be less than 40 laps to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so crazy to see the leader, you know, the driver that we saw being so dominant in qualifying, spinning out with, I mean, under load. I'm just so impressed to see the car just losing, you know. It's just so crazy to see the driver lose. But obviously right now he has the freshest, I don't know, the new rubber on his car. He has a brand new front wing. We saw it getting replaced. So he's definitely going to be on pace, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to be happy sitting in 7th place. He definitely will want to just pull himself back together, climbing those positions, that's going to help a lot in his confidence if he can just pull out overtake after overtake. And he has shown that he has the pace. You know, he spun out and he had quite a bit of a gap to second place. So it's probably just a matter of time now, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see him back on the, probably not the lead, but on that top 5 in just a matter of time.
In a position like that of Cuthbertson, and you have that much pace, remember, he won the pole by over a second and a half. I mean, he has proven to be one of the best in the field here tonight, but you now have to counsel patience. You're going to follow and be around guys who are struggling with this racetrack just as much as you did when you lost the back end of the car. It's going to be imperative for Cuthbertson to be patient. Even though it's 40 laps to go, it doesn't sound like a lot on a racetrack like this, 2 miles in length, where there is danger lurking everywhere. If you can counsel that patience, he will slowly cycle his way back up towards the front of the running order, like a Cole Freilich. I mean, his car was destroyed. Turn 1, lap 1. He's all the way up to second. Going to be right on the rear wing of Evan Stammer for this restart. Stammer was a name that raised some eyebrows when he joined the entry blink. He's a very, very young, well-spoken, and talented race car driver, and he has proven to counsel patience himself after cars around him, in front of him, at one point beside him, all had problems. And it is now going to be Stammer leading us back down for the restart. 40 laps to go for the streets of Chicago for IORL. We're back to green. Stammer is able to survive that first corner. Big move by Corey Rexford behind, trying to move up to 4th, maybe to 3rd, but Freilich is not letting Stammer get too far out in front, while Rexford has to burp the back tires a little bit there and hang on, and Stammer is going to try to pull out to a healthy advantage while he and Freilich have left the rest of the field.
They already have a 2-second gap back to 3rd place as they're still battling for 4th, 5th. They kind of just follow up between a train now, everybody. So as you can see now, Corey Rexford on the shot. Everybody just kind of in a smooth straight line, because not really a lot of overtaking opportunities after you move past the 2nd straight, but everybody will want to capitalize if they see an opportunity as they go up and down the hill. Looks like everybody's still in one piece as they go now into the treacherous 8, 9, 10 section, where we saw just a few laps ago Cuthbertson losing the car. Buchanan, as you can see, on the wide hardest tires, but looks like everybody makes it through, even though I'm a bit more cautious. Just as I mentioned, that looks like Corey Rexford loses out on the exit of 11.
Rexford getting back to the gas, loses it on the exit of the corner. So far, everybody's able to get by. No caution. He will get it refired, rejoin the pack, while Stammer completes the first green flag lap we've had in this race. Rexford's going to fall to the bottom of the running order for right now. He's back in 9th as things stand. Also, a little bit of housekeeping here. It looks like Jake Walsh and Matt Chubb did get their lap back to the officials, so we have 10 cars on the lead lap as they run, with Paul Foddy, the last car on the lead lap. Let's go on board with Corey Rexford, and we'll have an opportunity here in just a moment to see what happened to him. And a very similar spot to where we saw Cuthbertson lose it. This is the following corner afterwards, and just trying to get back to the gas. What a job by Rexford, though, to not hit the wall with the front end of that car. He got it stopped just in time.
Yeah, exactly. Just inching the concrete wall, so just extremely close. Obviously, he got a quick reaction time to just quickly press on the brakes and not trying to catch the car by applying more throttle. And unfortunately for him, he had the wide tires, so he had the hardest tires, so that could probably, you know, just may have contributed a bit to the spin, you know, not trying to get a bit of extra temperature, and unfortunately for him, it kind of got caught out. But look at Cole Freilich. He dropped back to over the 2nd on the first green lap run that we had, but he's within half a second as he now puts the fastest lap of the race, 1:13, as they kind of just get it stopped. Looks like a car park on turn number 1. Maybe Cole Freilich has some damage to his front wing, but definitely something happened to Stammer.
Very bizarre set of circumstances there as Evan Stammer really kind of load up a little bit there, getting through that corner, and Freilich was able to get by for the lead. He was stalking him. Here's a couple of drivers who are trying to find victory lane for the first time this season. That's Brendan Madonia holding on to the final podium spot for the time being. As a matter of fact, it looks as though that's Stamer may have fallen down the running order here. I'm not sure what happened to Evan Stamer after he was running in the lead, had that bit of a hiccup, and he's actually on the pit lane. So, boy, things going from bad to worse here. So far, we're only 10 laps into this 47-lap race, and it looks like you don't want to lead this thing. We saw Cuthbertson have a problem out front. The same thing for Evan Stamer.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of things that happened. I'm not pretty sure if that was, maybe it might have been a hardware failure, but only time will tell. But the battle is still very much alive for second place. Look at Cuthbertson. He's already up into fourth place, chasing these two down for effectively the second. So Madonia right now under a lot of pressure. Obviously Cole Frelick it's putting up that gap over 4 seconds already. So he definitely has the pace right now, as the drivers behind Madonia will definitely want to be getting past him. But look at Cuthbertson. He has the softest tires. Looks like everybody around him, actually second and third, Madonia and Buchanan, they both have the hard compound, so he has the extra pace. He definitely has a bit extra confidence. But look at Buchanan on the number 4. Can he put it on the inside? No, he thinks better of it. But, well, they're definitely getting raced here. The confidence level of each and every single driver is getting up. And, well, this is only going to improve from here on out.
About the fact that these two, both Madonia and Buchanan, have yet to find victory lane this season. However, that doesn't belie the fact that they've had great seasons. How about this? Madonia, 7 top 5 finishes. Buchanan, 6 top 5 finishes. 4th and 5th place in the point standings, respectively. And as a matter of fact, they are only 17 and 19 points behind Rick Rayvon, who is not in the field tonight. Also, Reed Sweeney, who is second in points, also not in the field tonight as well. And Spencer Ray is another name who we do not see in tonight's Chicago Slugfest. So these are the highest running drivers in the standings right now. Not sure how the drop rules may apply for that of the IORL campaign, but nevertheless, if these guys could find a way up towards the front, or maybe even try to crack victory lane to be the 10th different driver to do so in the slate, it's going to increase their chances going into the final 2 races, where we expect the competitive car count to grow significantly. There's something about the ovals that brings a lot of guys out to play, guys and gals, that is. With Kentucky and Auto Club coming up just around the corner, we can expect the opportunities for points to be gained and lost to kind of multiply there as far as field size. But so far, this is a great night here, but they are starting to be pressured by your pole sitter and early race leader in Kyle Cuthbertson, who is really good at closing and under braking. He just has to be careful getting back to the accelerator off the corner. That's what bit him the last time. Right about at this section of the racetrack, they're starting to approach.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely going to be having a few nightmares as he comes up to the section that cost him the lead just a few laps ago, 5 laps ago actually, but right now it looks like the car is all settled. Maybe he learned from his mistake, but look at Buchanan on the exit of 11. He got a better one, but unfortunately can't really put the cars side by side. But look at Cuthbertson. Those red tires just providing so much grip as Cole Frelick goes fastest. Look at Buchanan on the inside of turn 1. Will he put the nose on the inside? Look at Cuthbertson. He's probably going to be taking that move out as well, and he does. And well, what an opportunistic move. And right now he's finding himself on the podium. And well, he only has one car on the white tire, on the black tires, I apologize. And well, looks like he wants to make that move soon, because that leader is putting up the fastest lap, and he's pulling a gap over 5.8 seconds right now.
It was a really nifty move by Cuthbertson to try to follow through Buchanan. And you're bringing up a really good point there, JP, about the tire choice. We've been told by just about everybody that the reds are the preferred option here. There's no mandatory tire allotment, but it could impact your strategy. And by Cuthbertson being on the red wall tires, this could be putting them at a little bit of an edge. They're a little bit softer. They're a little bit more grippier. In fact, they have a little bit of a higher grip level compared to the blacks, but the blacks are made to last longer. As a matter of fact, the blacks also dubbed the Firestock primaries. They are the ones that normally could kind of get you a little bit longer as far as longevity, but I mean, we look at somebody like over here, like Corey Rexford, who's already had a bit of a problem so far here tonight, but looks as though we've also had some issues once again for Paul Foddy, who is in the pit lane, and also Jake Walsh has fallen another lap down.
Well, looks like quite a bit has happened off screen. We're just kind of so busy. It looks like someone lost it on the fast section, just like Cuthbertson. So, that's just an unfortunate crash. Just shows how difficult it is to drive around these street circuits. And as you can see, well, it's extremely tight to get around these parts. But as you can see, Paul Foddy just kind of got on the throttle. As you can see, did you spot that little bump just under throttle, that small bump just spin out his rear tires, and unfortunately that was enough to throw the car completely around. And unfortunately for him, that's going to be a trip back to the pit lane. But well, he still has quite a few laps. Well, he has a lot of laps to still trying to make that time back.
Report that we get from the pit lane is that Nate Stewart had to abruptly exit his portion of the session due to the fact that he had to handle something on his end. So not a hardware failure, but obviously something that required his attention. So that's a tough break for a name that we expected to see towards the front of the field, or at least on the podium for an event like this, especially after the success that he had back at Gateway. I'm sure that we'll be hopeful to try and see Stewart in the last 2 races of the season if his schedule should allow. How about Zach Buchanan trying to hold on here while Cuthbertson dives low to try to take second away? Buchanan was really loose on the exit of turn 1. He's going to lose that runner-up spot. Cuthbertson back up to second, and he's going to try to cut into that 4.7 second lead that Cole Freilich has built up.
What an amazing move. He just completely used the grip on his tires and the confidence of himself, and just catapulted himself into P2 right now. And obviously right now he doesn't have any dirty air. He has clean air. Newer tires, obviously. Remember, he pitted for fresh rubber. Freilich didn't after the lap 1 instance. So even though they only did around pace laps, his tires are fresh. So we're gonna be seeing that time just kindly come down lap after lap as his confidence now builds up, as he now gets used to clean air again. And Freilich, well, he's going to be feeling the pressure, and just as I mentioned that, he spun around at the exit of 11, caught Corey Rexford a few laps ago, and now caught the leader.
You just don't want to lead this race. That's a line from Benny Parsons back in one of the old Busch Series races back in 2004 at Chicagoland. And I'll tell you what, this is what we're talking about. Here is Cole Freilich leading by over 4.5 seconds. This is the same spot. Yes, just about the same spot that Cuthbertson lost the back end of his car earlier in the race. Now, he does a quick 180 here to try to get it righted. He's unable to stop the bleeding as far as losing the lead, but he does retain 3rd place. On board with him, and there's that bump as he gets back to the gas. He's able to keep it off the outside retaining wall as well as the inside retaining wall. And what a job here to try to get it righted and not drive right up in front of Cuthbertson and into the racing line. That's an immense job by Cole Freilich to quickly get the car back under him and point it in the right direction without taking out some of the drivers running at the head of the field.
Yeah, exactly. He just tried to get the car pointing in the right direction as quickly as possible. Luckily for him, that essentially burnout just quickly put him on the right direction and not on the path of Cuthbertson. But, well, what a break this guy has had. He was leading. He unfortunately had to come to the pits. And look at him now, back on the lead lap. Unfortunately, we kind of got robbed for that pole, for essentially that winning victory, that battle for the lead. But look at him right now. The pace that we talked about in qualifying is coming alive in the race. Fastest lap of 1:12.1, and he's just going to be pulling out that lap time, as we do have Chubb here battling with Madonia for 4th place right now. And, well, this battle is another one that I really do want to see as well, these two going at it, because the battles on this racetrack have been just amazing.
Hats off to all these competitors with the IORL as far as being thrown this bit of a variable. We weren't quite sure how this track was going to handle this version of race car for the Dallara IR18, and so far it's provided some unique moments. I mean, right now, if you look at the running order, as we look back from Matt Chubb, you have a lot of drivers who are on a little bit of a comeback trail. I mean, yes, the bottom portion of the standings sees Nate Stewart, who fell out, Evan Stammer, who was leading at one point, Evan Stammer, who was leading at one point in this race. Jake Walsh, who was involved in the Turn 1 Lap 1 crash, also had another problem. Paul Foddy, also involved in the incident where he crashed hard with the front end of his car. We see a little bit of smoke here that Chubb is starting to drive through himself. Looks like there's no stationary car, so he's able to continue. But also Corey Rexford has fallen a lap down, and here we go with pit stops. That is Cole Freilich coming down for service. We talked about the 70% fuel load that these drivers had and 5 sets of tires in the pit area. You see Freilich here with the red wall tires on his machine. I would expect him to go back to the reds as well, but he is coming down here on lap number 18 for what I believe is his first planned pit stop of the night.
Yeah, exactly. So let's remember, this might be a fuel stop, but also might be a tire stop, because he completely spun out and obviously flat spotted his tires. Looks like, unfortunately, he's gone. So unfortunately, we kind of lost Freilich. Might have been just a connection issue, but well, if that was just a pit stop, remember that he completely flat spotted his tires and had to essentially light them up to get back on the racetrack. So tires might have been a variable for this stop, but unfortunately, it looks like right now we may have lost him for a minute, but hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, Freilich, I'm not quite sure if that was just frustration after losing the lead and having the issue there and falling back in the third place. Looked like he was still pretty much in contention. And, I mean, let's not forget that Cuthbertson made a similar mistake earlier in the night. I would not rule out the possibility of Cuthbertson doing the same thing. I'm not questioning his talent by any stretch of the imagination, as it looks like Matt Skipper, who has gone for a spin at one point tonight, has in fact come down for a stop and service as well. But I'm a little bit surprised there if that was just a voluntary effort of venture by Freilich to pull the plug on the night after what happened, because still a long way to go here. We're inching closer to halfway. About 5 laps from now, we'll be halfway through this inaugural Grand Prix of Chicago for the IORL in race number 14 of 16 on the season here at Pit Stop TV. And even though if you were to look at the qualifying sheet and look at the running order, you would think that Kyle Cuthbertson has dominated this thing from start to now. That is not the case. In fact, there's been a lot of comers and goers coming up through the field, and Matt Chubb, who was the outside front row sitter, he's all the way up into third, trying to chase down this driver, and Zach Buchanan, who's got the lap car, Corey Rexford, who runs fifth just behind him.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, we all know that on a road course, things happen all the time. As you mentioned, Cuthbertson lost the car while leading, and we saw actually Freilich himself losing the car while leading, so anything can happen on a road race, and obviously you do have to keep your hopes up, and it's not lack of talent of any sort of imagination, it's just mistakes. We see how bumpy this track is, as it looks like Matt Chubb right now comes down in the pit lane, so it might be a fuel stop, and we might see him putting on the red tire. So we could be seeing some fast lap times from Chubb. I'm not ruling him out just yet, even though he might be a bit down in the order, but he's definitely fighting for that second and probably third position right now. So we'll keep an eye out for him.
Thing we have yet to mention is the uniqueness of this pit road. You come off of the final corner, and it actually is on driver's right, so you're going to have to turn down sharply, very similar to that of the street layout at Belle Isle in Detroit. And the pit speed element, the point where you got to get down to the proper pace in order to enter the pit lane without getting a penalty, as Corey Rexford bounces off the wall with the right side tires, it comes up relatively quickly. So the idea or notion that you could in fact overcook your pit entry and maybe get nabbed for speeding is alive and well. You got to be at the right pace by the time you hit the pit speed limiter on these cars, and that is another variable that could jump out and grab these guys, especially if you're so zoned in on trying to hit your braking point and your acceleration points on this racetrack to not lose traction. You can kind of get lulled into a false sense of security and make what some may dub a rookie mistake, especially because of how quickly you have to come off that final corner at turn 12 and dart down to the pit lane. It could catch you off guard and kind of throw you off your marks a little bit, especially if you haven't rehearsed it. But it looks like Matt Chubb has done it to perfection, as he is currently running in fourth. Now Zach Buchanan is on the pit lane for service. That'll move Madonia up to second, and that will increase Cuthbertson's lead to 21 seconds.
That is just an insane gap, and as you can see, this battle is for position, as we do have Buchanan and Chubb. So both have pitted. Obviously Chubb pitted on the lap before, so his tires are fresher and they are up to temperature, and as you can see, well, that's the difference. He's gonna go alongside him, and he will have the inside line as they head into turns number 4 and 5, but he's gonna back out. And Buchanan, that was just brave to close the door like that, and well, that's the kind of racing that we expect from these two. They're not going to yield position. They're not going to give up. But boy, they're in for a titanic battle.
Now, we talked about how difficult it is to get around this venue by yourself. We have seen passing, but it has been firmly executed at times. With that, you have to clearly make sure you get a good enough run off the corner to pull up alongside the competition and have the opportunity to outbrake said driver in the upcoming corner, which odds are is going to be a 90-degree corner. So with that in mind, it's something that we are going to try to keep tabs on here, as we now have the runner-up coming onto the pit lane in Madonia. And with Buchanan and Chubb now coming on the main straightaway, it looks as though they're going to move back up into this fight for second and third respectively while we await Cuthbertson's arrival onto the pit lane, and we'll see how much that delta swings with his lead now up to 35 seconds with only 4 cars on the lead lap. Right now, Zach Buchanan's doing a great job holding off Matt Chubb, who, as we mentioned, came back for the Turn 1 Lap 1 crash, while Madonia will rejoin the pack here, still running in the 4th spot.
Yeah, exactly. So the gap for the pit lane, essentially the gap they're gonna lose, the time they're gonna lose is around 28 seconds, as we have been informed. As it look at this, oh, almost a move, almost contact between these two. So definitely Chubb trying to get past Buchanan at any cost, and well, these drivers looks like they're in for a treat, both on the black tires, both on the hardest compound possible. So, well, looks like Chubb has the pace to kind of just catch up at times, but the only real possible place to make a move seems to be turn 1, and obviously that long straight after turn 2 and before turn 4. So you definitely want to be lining yourself up as close to that as possible, but obviously the dirty air, the mistakes, everything just kind of comes together and makes that so difficult for these drivers. But you know, some of them are making it work, and probably they even will make it work on an odd corner. We never know, because this is just a street circuit, and these two, well, I won't actually go against going on a move, even on the turns 8, 9, and 10 section, because these guys will definitely be wanting to go all in for that position.
That was a pretty bold move there by Matt Chubb to try to get up and alongside. He did slide that left front tire a little bit there, so we'll see if he's able to kind of regroup and chase Buchanan back down. As we hit the halfway point of this race, it'll be next time through, as a matter of fact, with Kyle Cuthbertson leading and dominating, but it has not been the case all day long. Got a crash up in front of the leaders. I believe that was Corey Rexford, who has had problems for the second time tonight. Not sure if that car will remain in the precarious position, but Rexford was running in the top 5, and he's got some considerable damage with that car kind of laboring on the right side here. At one point, it looked like the left front was off the ground, but we'll see what exactly may have happened to Corey. And, boy, it's been a very rough night for Mr. Rexford here, but he's still running in the 5th position. We talked about attrition and survival being a big part of tonight's contest, and this is further proof of that here, as Rexford, in one of the trouble spots on the track, pancakes the wall with the left side.
Well, I was just looking at right after Corey made his stop. Obviously, he put on those black tires, and they too do take a while to get up to temperature. He was struggling quite a bit, and as you can see, he just kind of hesitated on actually steering the car. He just kind of moved back left and then to right again to make the corner, and looks like that was just enough to kind of unsettle the car. Look at that movement on his car. He's going to be putting right and then quickly left and then right again. So it doesn't look as, I guess, as brute or as harsh as probably felt on his car, but that may have been enough to just unsettle the car. And well, unfortunately for him, that was a concrete wall on the outside essentially, and well, unfortunately he hit hard on that left side tires, but it looks like he had a fast repair, and it looks like he's already back on the racetrack and still on 5th place.
With all the problems that we've seen a lot of the competitors have so far tonight, Rexford is still only 1 lap down as we come back up here to the battle for the runner-up position. And also, I believe that Cuthbertson may have pitted here because the margin has now shrunk to about 8.5 seconds back to Buchanan. Now, Chubb has shown some flashes of brilliance to where he can match some of that pace by Cuthbertson, but we do get the official word that Cuthbertson did pit 1 lap ago. So everybody is on the same page for the time being, with Chubb trying to mount another charge to get up and around Buchanan for P2.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Chubb is kind of using an old F1 technique that we saw kind of in the 2015-2016 era. You kind of just go for a move, then you back out, let the tires cool, let yourself cool down, getting the heart rate a bit down, and then just go for it again. That seems to be his move, because we saw the gap that Buchanan kind of just built after that move, and well, that gap is completely gone at this point. So right now, he's just trying to get the gap pulled down. As you mentioned, probably going to be making a move on that back straight, because that seems to be the best place possible, but I'm pretty sure he's also pushing to try to make Zach make a mistake, because that seems to be helping each and every single driver out here today, because these guys are not making mistakes at all. But as soon as you have a car behind you, well, things change completely.
Perhaps one of the most surprising elements is we are seeing that margin to Cuthbertson come down, albeit slightly. It's down now to nearly 8 seconds in total, as Corey Rexford has more problems. Another incident here for the driver who's holding down fifth. He is, in fact, 2 laps down. This looked like it happened, I believe this is going to be turn 2, where Rexford ended up having his problems, and that was coming off of that corner. This is, in fact, down the main straightaway here. So turn 1 is going to be the left-hander that's approaching. And again, Rexford, even though he's 2 laps down, still running in the top 5 right now, as Skipper, Freilich, Walsh, Foddy, Evan Stammer, and Stewart are all out of it. Yes, turn 2. A little bit too hard on the brakes there, loops it around, keeps it off the tire wall, and fortunately there, Cuthbertson was able to get by without incident.
Yeah, that was extremely close. I'm pretty sure Cuthbertson kind of just, I guess, his heart went into his mouth after he saw an IndyCar just kind of stop right on the racing line, actually. So that may have been a bit of the reason we saw that gap going down. It's still going down, in fact. But as you can see, just Corey just kind of not having the best day with those black tires. The car just completely spun out on him. Those rear tires are not happy at all. So I'm not pretty sure if that's just a setup, maybe a mistake on the setup of the car, but that car just does not seem happy to be driving around on Chicago.
We were mentioning how that margin to Buchanan and company had come down a little bit. I wonder if that incident with Rexford in front of your leader may have had something to do with it after that caused him to burp the throttle, albeit we'll call it slightly for the time being, but nevertheless it was enough to perhaps cause a little bit of concern for your leader and cost him a little bit of the margin that he has worked so hard to build up at this point in the race. But this fight for second truly continues to be the best on the racetrack. Boy, Buchanan burping the back tires there a little bit, got back to the power a little bit too hard, almost lost the race car that time. Still able to mind the gap back to Chubb, and just like that, Cuthbertson responds and starts to open up the gap back again to Buchanan. So perhaps the handle's starting to switch a little bit on our front runners as Cuthbertson turns the fastest lap of the race.
Well, I mean, the name of the game is just confidence. You know, they're just running lap after lap after lap, and Cuthbertson actually running the red tires, so I was betting on him running the blacks and having difficulties warming them up, but you know, maybe he was just kind of hyping himself up to put that, I mean, insane lap. I guess that was pretty close to his qualifying lap as well. So, I mean, that's just confidence, not only from him, but from Zach and Chubb as well. These guys are just running the finest of lines through the corners. We're going to go on board here for a minute and just admire the precision and the confidence that these guys have to run so close to the barriers and, I mean, not make a mistake. He lost the car on the exit of this section on the first few laps ago, and well, look at him now, just full-blown confidence. Well, just makes it through, no hard feelings, no harm done, just straight up, you know, just concentration and focus.
The crazy thing is that the obvious element that we're looking at here is the hands, the steering wheel, to see how hard they're working that car left to right. But the truth of the matter is, as Cuthbertson goes faster yet that time through, really pushing these red tires to the limit, the truth of the matter is that these drivers are working just as hard with their feet as they are with their hands, especially on a track as rough, abrasive, and bumpy as this Streets of Chicago layout, where Zach Buchanan is trying to fend off Matt Chubb for second. And again, we're going to stay with this for the time being, as this has truly been one of the, in fact, the best race on the track right now on a venue that could jump out and bite you at any given point. And boy, I don't know if it's the run going a little bit further. I don't know if it's the black tires starting to give up a little bit, JP. But Buchanan is starting to have to counter steer a lot coming off the corners.
I audibly gasped when I saw that car just slightly drifting on the exit of the corner. Definitely he's running on full-blown pace at this moment in time, and Chubb is giving him zero. Just look at how close he ran through that barrier. These guys are running the finest of lines, trying to one-up each other. And well, I mean, both of them have their challenges. Obviously, Buchanan just, well, he's just pushing the limits. Look at him locking up the tires on a very fast corner, just trying to each that gap, just trying to hold for that position for dear life, and Chubb behind him trying to find a way to go faster than his rival at each and every single corner. So this is just amazing to watch. As you can see, he just kind of closes under braking, but loses a bit on the exit, and this just rinse and repeats. And this is just amazing to watch, the precision. Eventually, we're probably going to be seeing a dive bomb, as we do have a bit of carbon fiber, looks like, lost in the exit of 3. But, well, this battle is just amazing to watch.
So we'll hit the reset button here as we are approaching 17 laps to go from the Chicago Street Course here on iRacing with the IORL Season 12, their 13th event of the season. Make that 14th event of the season with 3 races left to go. At the conclusion of tonight's race, it will be just 2 races to go, both of which on ovals, as we see this track continuing to claim victims. That was Matt Skipper, who was stuffed into the retaining wall there. He fell back into 6th for the time being. As you can tell by our scoring pylon, only 11 cars came out to have some fun. We had 2 cautions early, 4 laps in total, and 3 lead changes, the majority of which came when the leader had problems. We see Brennan Madonia making a pit stop here. We expect this to be the last time that we see Madonia on the pit lane. With the 70% fuel fill, this should get Madonia to the finish, and he will be the first car to come down and stop for service, and will rejoin the field here just in front of that battle for second. First car 1 lap down is Madonia, but he's running 4th right now in the running order, and will pull aside maybe to allow 2nd and 3rd place through, as they too will have to stop for service in the not-too-distant future. As we mentioned, the weather has been pretty much perfect here as far as the street course. It appears as though that the struggle with traction is coming strictly with the combination of the setup and the layout of this venue. And that's why we've seen so many drivers struggle for the most part here. And that level of attrition has started to multiply. So we got problems. That's Chubb spinning off the corner from 3rd.
Just as you mentioned, the lack of grip from maybe the setup, the tires going off the cliff. Just as you mentioned, that Chubb goes around, looks like on the exit of turn number 6. So unfortunately for him, we kind of just got robbed of that battle. But we're going to be taking a look at the replay, and just as something that we have seen all night long, in practice, qualifying, and the race. As you can see, he just goes on the brake. He inches out that wall, but unfortunately just a small bump, looks like on the apex, was enough to unsettle the car and make him spin around. Now, he hit the nose of that car. I'm not pretty sure if he's going to be carrying any damage, and I don't recall if he took a fast repair. Look at this, just a small bump, and you can see just the left rear wheel just kind of spin out. So just so unfortunate for him. He was just running so close to Buchanan, but, well, he has the pace. We saw him getting quite close, and if he can keep his head up high and rebuild that confidence, he may just have enough time to catch up to the back of Zach and probably mount up one last challenge.
Pete Costa was just alluding to, we've seen Matt Chubb have to rally back and come from behind already once in this race. After starting on the outside pole, there's another look there through the shrubbery that outlines the Street of Chicago layout. The scan of this venue, as Chubb is now coming out of the pit lane here, electing to stop, get some fresh tires, take a full fuel load, perhaps that will get him to the end. This scan of this track is so detailed to that effect, and it was so important to try to bring a real-life element and aspect of the potential of this venue should it find its way into the real world in the not-too-distant future. Again, it was spearheaded by NASCAR. Of course, the door is always open, perhaps, for IndyCar to be a part of an event such as this. Granted, just across Lake Michigan is where you'll end up finding the Grand Prix of Detroit and Belle Isle that takes place. So they're kind of already immersed in that quadrant of the country. But nevertheless, it is pretty much unique, to say the least, to have a track of this nature and concept drawn up to life in the sim. And it's provided some pretty interesting moments, as now we see Zach Buchanan on the pit lane for what we expect to be his final stop. The car he is about to roll through there, Jake Walsh, has been out of the race for quite some time. And Matt Skipper, who has crashed a couple of times tonight, he's going to get the sportsmanship award on the evening, as he is continuing to fight the good fight. And Skipper, as a matter of fact, is going to try to continue on here for the time being. We understand that Walsh is, in fact, still in the server as well, getting the damage repaired on that car. And also, look behind him. That's Brandon Madonia, who is running in 4th. He's got major damage to the backside of that car. He did fall off the lead lap, but not quite sure what happened to Madonia as far as causing that to happen. And JP, we've now bit the 4th place runner with a big crash.
Well, that was certainly unexpected. I definitely did not see that coming. He was running kind of on his own, and well, unfortunately for him, just I mean that car is completely destroyed. I'm just waiting to see what happens. Looks like it was on one of the fastest part of the circuit. Oh my God, that looks like
Oh.
on turn 4, number 5. So I'm not pretty sure if that was maybe just misjudging the braking zone, but wow, that was a big, big hit. And you audibly gasped as well, just as me. And I'm in shock. Just a small mistake, and look at how big the damage is of those concrete walls so close to the barrier.
And this is going to hurt. For those of you watching at home, this is not going to feel good. And if I'm Adonia, this would have caught me by surprise enough to make me jump back in the seat. Oh, man, just caught the end of the tire barrier where the elbow of the concrete starts to turn towards the length of the straightaway and hit really flush. Very similar to Chase Austin's Indy Lights crash that we saw at Indianapolis back in 2014, where the tire wall is there to try to protect these drivers. And that hit was so massive that the car rolled all the way back to the next corner before hitting the outside retaining wall. So that's how easy it is for it all to come undone. Madonia seemed as though that he was in a league of his own, as JP said. And boy, if you're Kyle Cuthbertson, you've got to think, even though you have all this breathing room as far as the margin, he still has one more pit stop up his sleeve. This track could jump out and grab you just in the way that it did to Madonia. Nobody is safe until the checkered flag.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Nobody is safe until the checkered flag drops. That's perfect. I mean, we just saw what can happen if you just turn in a meter too late, 2 meters too late, just a fraction of a second too late. You know, you're just going to completely hit the concrete barrier, and all the work that you did throughout the laps might just be gone. You know, obviously for Madonia, he might just been in a lucky state to have that gap to Corey Rexford behind him. But some of these guys, first, second, and third place, they don't have that privilege. They have to keep pushing to the max to keep that gap up and hope to not make a mistake. And now, before I quickly pass back to you, Eric, I just want to mention Buchanan and Chubb and Madonia only ran the black tires, only ran the harder tires, and Cuthbertson, he seems confident enough to keep going for that red tire through all the fuel stints. So, an interesting challenge, strategy for him. Definitely a challenge at the end of the tire life, but seems to have worked out perfectly.
I was told by a couple of drivers who had a chance to strap into these cars and kind of give it a bit of a go that the Reds may have been the main option as far as what to go with here. And as Cuthbertson starts to close up here on Skipper, it's going to be interesting to see what he elects to do on the final stop, as we're going to be coming up on the final 11 laps of the inaugural Grand Prix of Chicago for the IORL at the Chicago Street Course. Just 3 races left to go. It's been all Kyle Cuthbertson, despite a spin at one point in this race. Can he hang on for the checkered flag and the finish and be crowned the winner of this inaugural Chicago Street Race? Stay tuned with us to find out. We'll be right back on the other side of the break to watch the end of this one and how it unfolds with Buchanan and Chubb chasing.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
We're here for the finish to see if Kyle Cuthbertson could hang on after what has turned into a dominating performance on what has been a tough day for the majority of the IORL Racing League field on the streets of Chicago for their third to last race of the 2021 season, the last road and street course of the year for these drivers before we head off to Kentucky and California to crown ourselves a champion. And so far, it has been Cuthbertson who, despite some of the bumps, bobbles, and even a spin in his route to what could be a dominating victory, he has one more pit stop to make before the finish of this race. But we are now 10, make that in fact 9 laps to go at the line here. And we will see if Cuthbertson is going to elect to come down next time by. We expect the lead to shrink, at the very least to be cut down to perhaps, we'll call it about 13 to 15 seconds or so. But still a dominating effort. But this track has caught many by surprise, as if the timing and scoring pylon did not give that away. Again, I'm Eric Brennan. I got JP Costa on the call with me. Trey Shuttlesworth holding things down on the production side of things here this evening, as we have dual races going on the Pit Stop TV platform. Emerson Arden is leading the group over for the Outlaw Sim Series. And if we wrap things up here in Chicago early enough, it'll give us all an opportunity to head on over there and see how that event unfolds from Homestead Miami Speedway. But for now, JP, I'm not quite sure that I am sold on the notion that Cuthbertson has this thing in the bag. Even though he's had so much pace, we've seen this venue bite and bite hard, and Cuthbertson is still pushing hard. He's still opening up the gap on Buchanan and Chubb, lap after lap after lap, trying to set himself up for this final stop. I am not ready to engrave the trophy with his name on it just yet, but here he comes for his final stop tonight.
Well, he definitely will have some time to take a breather right now, as he'll definitely be filling up the car with, well, 8 laps of fuel, not a lot, but obviously new tires. But as you mentioned, he's still pushing to the limit. You know, he's still taking, inches from the track on entry and on exit. So it's really interesting to see, because he seems to be one of those drivers that just seems to be comfortable and less prone to mistakes when they're driving at the limit. You know, sometimes we do enter that, limp home mode. You know, we're just kind of just taking it easy. We do manage the gap, all that sort of stuff. But he seems to be the guy that just completely, just pushing out to the limit. Looked like Buchanan lost back down to third. Looks like he pitted again. So interesting strategy for him. Maybe a miscalculation on fuel. Right now finds himself backwards in P3 right now. So kind of a weird thing to happen. Well, Chubb will definitely be taking that, because he spun around, unfortunately chasing him, but right now finds himself ahead.
That battle for second was the one that kept us on the edge of our seats throughout the last, I'll call it 20 laps or so of green flag competition. Again, we've only had 2 cautions, and they all came in the first 6 laps of this race, as Buchanan blips momentarily in and out of your screen. But Buchanan has had second or third place pace here throughout the night, but he's obviously fallen way back on Matt Chubb after pitting again towards the end of this race, with Chubb now finding himself 37 seconds behind Cuthbertson for what's going to be a less than 8-lap sprint to the finish. Here's our Indy 500 winner, Matt Chubb, who has gone around on more than one occasion here tonight. In fact, was caught up in a Turn 1, Lap 1 incident to kick things off after getting speared in the side by Jake Walsh and company. Also collected Cole Freilich and damaged the nose on Zach Buchanan's car. That was the first caution that we had on the night. And then shortly thereafter, we saw one of the front runners go sideways and spin in front of the pack. Evan Stammer had an opportunity to lead this race early. He too spun, and every lead change that we have had tonight has pretty much come by virtue of incident. And since getting back up to the head of the pack, Cuthbertson has not relinquished the top spot by any stretch of the imagination, and he's got to just try to survive the corners and the daunting task of this racetrack, as Matt Skipper has not had a night that he wanted, and he is currently missing the front wing on that machine.
Yeah, just as we mentioned, we're coming up to the last part of the race, but, well, mistakes will still happen, and unfortunately Matt just proves your point, Eric. No front wing on the car, obviously not ideal. Luckily for him, he's taking a bit easy, so he'll definitely make it back to the pits. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a fast repair, so he might be in there for a while, but, well, it's unfortunate that it happened on the latter part of the race, but, well, he seems to have a healthy gap. Probably not close enough to catch Madonia at this point, but, Well, luckily for him, he'll still finish in P5, and that's a great result seeing after how much has happened on this race. No, he elects to keep on going without a front wing, so that, well, that's, I mean, that's just kind of brave, isn't it, Eric?
I have to wonder here what the thought is. I mean, the next closest car is out of Corey Rexford, who I believe pulled the plug on his night. So I don't see a possibility of him losing a spot here. So this seems to just be a bit of torture. I mean, at this point, come on in. Even if you're on the faster pair left, try to get the wing on before the end of this thing and have a little bit of fun and lay down some flyers before the race comes to a close, because you're guaranteed to finish in the top 5 at this point, according to my inaccurate and never known to be good math. But nevertheless, Skipper rounding out the top 5 right now is something that this field is going to have to keep in mind. We talked about the championship coming into the night. As you see Chubb here all over the backside of Cuthbertson, and wow, Cuthbertson might have pitted. This is the battle for the lead here. We got a race on our hands, folks. There's the 2 drivers who set the quick time and qualifying. You have Cuthbertson, who was just off the pit lane in reds, and you've got Chubb, who has already got his black tires up to speed, and they're going to race this thing out heads up here to the checkered flag.
Well, after we thought everything was kind of settled and done, no more mistakes from each driver, looks like everything has changed. So Cuthbertson obviously right now has to engage that defense mode that we haven't seen for him, I guess, since lap 20. And Chubb, obviously right now, he's back on attack mode to try and get past someone. Unfortunately for him, he's on the black tire, he's on the harder compound, the less grippy compound. But Cuthbertson seems to be struggling a little bit on these initial laps on that red compound. So with 5 laps to go, can Chubb make what he couldn't pull out with Buchanan on the race leader?
Even in qualifying, it appeared that Cuthbertson was just a little bit better than Chubb. Even throughout the race, it appeared that Cuthbertson was a little bit better than Chubb here. Now on a differing tire compounds, we thought the reds would be the choice to go. It appears that Cuthbertson has preferred the red wall tires all throughout this race. But Matt Chubb has got the bit between his teeth, and he's got a lot to gain here. We mentioned the championship point standings. He is 7th, 64 points out of the championship lead. With that in mind, the top 3 in points are not in tonight's race, but I think for Chubb, who's only gone a victory lane once, and it was in a controversial finish at the end of the Indianapolis 500. However, for him and his team and all the initiatives that he put behind his sim racing career, he said that it was one of the biggest wins he's ever put together. And look at Cuthbertson having a counter steer over the bumps that time.
Well, looks like he's definitely feeling the pressure at this moment in time, and well, he has 4 laps to go now at the flag, and Chubb is he just has an amazing pace at this moment in time. He's on the black, he's on the harder, and he's keeping up with the race leader that we thought was untouchable. So, I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, with 4 laps to go, I mean, and eventually we might see a dive bomb, even though it's extremely difficult to dive bomb on a track like this with fast flowing and tight corners. I mean, at this point in time, I guess it's all or nothing for Chubb, because he was fighting for 3rd place or 2nd, and now he's fighting for the lead. He definitely doesn't want to let this one go.
Dean Cuthbertson slide into a mistake once tonight. Remember, he spun at that sector of the racetrack where he had the big bobble that time through. Now Chubb tries to close in about 1 car length off. I think that's going to be his best bet, trying to push Cuthbertson into a mistake that will cost him the race and the win.
And these guys, I mean, I just can't wait to see what Chubb has in store, because I mean, I'm not going to tire. He definitely has the pace right now. And Cuthbertson, I'm not pretty sure if he's struggling with something. This is not the pace that we're kind of used to seeing. Well, but he's just nursing the car home. He's doing exactly what he has to do with now 3 laps to go. He's just keeping that car intact and, well, just keeping it clean. Don't lose out on corner and exit. Don't hit the barrier, as it looks like they're both approaching Skipper at this moment in time. Skipper right now finds himself in 4th place after passing Madonna, who has been in the pits. So Skipper could be a big name for the win for the victory lane if he doesn't get out of the way on the proper corner.
3 laps to go. According to the data that we're receiving on our end, it looks as though that, Chubb almost scrubbed the wall with the left side that time off the right-handed corner. It appears as though that all these drivers, or these 2 drivers, have all their push to pass remaining. It's 10 allotments of 15 seconds, and none for Zach Buchanan, who rides third. So these two may wait to the very end as they continue to slide their way around this sector of the racetrack. They'll be coming up on 2 laps to go. Who would have thought this would have been possible after how this race unfolded in turn 1, lap 1, with Chubb having to battle back, and he is applying massive amounts of pressure here to the backside of Cuthbertson as they get set to come to the 2 to go signal. And we talked about the championship. Cuthbertson 6th in points with 1 win and 6 top 5s. He's 30 points out of the lead, 2 to go at the line. He's 2 laps away from what could be his 2nd win of the season.
He definitely is feeling a lot of pressure right now. I mean, just look at how close Chubb is. Chubb just seems so much braver under braking on each and every single corner. Cuthbertson looks like he lost the confidence on his car. It's just crazy. I'm not sure what happened. This is not the Cuthbertson that we saw for the past 40 laps. But, well, this is great for us. Chubb is definitely happy with whatever is happening with Cuthbertson ahead. But he still has one thing to do. He needs to get past, 2nd place won't be as nice as winning, so I mean, if he's lining up, he's running out of time. He has less than 6 miles to go. It's less than 4 miles, sorry, to go to try to make a move work, a move that he couldn't really pull off with Buchanan, but he definitely needs to try something with Kyle just ahead.
Be coming up through the right-hander at turn 10, another right-hander at turn 11, another right-hander at turn 12. This is the short straightaway that leads him up to the final corner. And here they come. Kyle Cuthbertson, who has dominated the night, trying to hold on for one more lap on the streets of Chicago. White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art. Can Matt Chubb force him into a mistake on the final lap as he closes up in turn 1?
His heart rate is going through the roof. Less than 2 miles to go at this point in time. Well, he just has to keep it clean. After this straight, well, it's pretty much impossible to get past the lines to make a mistake. So it looks like Cuthbertson is using a bit of push to pass. Looks like he created a bit of a gap around half a second at this moment in time, and he seems to be safe from one of the few passing zones, but it's not safe. We saw a mistake that happened within the section of turns 8, 9, and 10, and it's approaching right now after this corner, so anything can happen still. Chubb is definitely waiting for the mistake to happen.
Except for one of the trickiest parts of the racetrack for the final time tonight. This is winding their way through turn number 9. 3 corners left to go. Chubb trying to close in under braking here. He's going to have a shot. They come through the right-hander. One last straightaway as Cuthbertson tries to line up the corner. Last time through turn 12. Back up onto the main straightaway, and Kyle Cuthbertson's going to withstand the pressure to grab his 2nd win of the season. Cuthbertson, the winner at Chicago.
What a finish from these two. Cuthbertson managing to, essentially soak up all that pressure, put it behind him, and not make a single mistake. What a race for him. Chubb as well. What a drive. Older tires, harder compound. Just incredible drive from these two. Hats off for both drivers.
Not going to lie, I thought that Cuthbertson had played the strategy to perfection to put us all to sleep in the final few laps. However, that late pit stop that allowed Chubb to get right on the rear wing there and put him in contention. Look at that margin of victory. 0.6 of a second at the line, with Chubb doing everything possible to try to force Cuthbertson into a mistake. It's a great night for your entire podium. In fact, the top 3 are some of the highest running drivers in the field as far as the championship standings. The only other driver who is up there in the top 10 in standings that was able to finish in the top 5 tonight include that of Brendan Madonia, who came home in 5th. So with that in mind, this is a wonderful night for Cuthbertson, Chubb, and Buchanan, but it'll be Cuthbertson, the pole sitter, celebrating again his 2nd win of the season. His first one came at Mid-Ohio. This one comes on what is most likely one of the toughest challenges of the 2021 season. Matt Chubb rebounding what could have been if he did not have the setback there and be put behind the 8 ball in turn 1 on lap 1. And Zach Buchanan also sustained wing damage. He had a mistake in this race as well. And they are going to come up on the front straightaway and celebrate their top 3 finish on, as we mentioned, what was the most difficult race of the season thus far, with a pair of ovals set to close out the campaign for the IORL in 2021. We're going to step aside while the top three celebrate for a photo opportunity on the front stretch here. Behind that of Kyle Cuthbertson, the winner. We hear from him and the rest of your podium finishers when we come back to Pit Stop TV's coverage of the IORL from Chicago. Don't go anywhere.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
In a race that was full of surprises, we saw a surprise finish after we saw Matt Chubb pressuring the backside of Kyle Cuthbertson all throughout the finish. And it was a thriller of a run to the checkered flag there after the pit strategy came to a head with a few laps to go. But for the second time this season, and perhaps in the most dominating of fashion, Kyle Cuthbertson goes to victory lane, and Kyle now joins us in the Pit Stop TV broadcast booth. And Kyle, after qualifying, JP Costa and I kind of spoke to one another. You made a statement, went out there, laid down that quick lap time, and then early in the race, you have that spin that puts you behind the 8-ball. How hard was it to rebound from that misfortune so early in the going, knowing how strong you were in qualifying?
Yeah, I knew I just had to keep it clean for the rest of the race, and must have missed it. I at the end of the race, I spun again and hit the wall. So I had them covered, and yeah, just a few mistakes. This track's just so hard, and there's a lot of bumps that, you know, just no warning will just spin you around. But I knew, you know, when we took the restart after that yellow, that because some of the guys that had to catch up from waiver rounds, the EOL wasn't going to hurt me that much, and yeah, it was pretty much just trying to stay patient and pressure, you know, Zach and the cars in front to make a mistake, and somehow we slipped through there, and I knew once I had clean air, it was good to go. It was definitely just a really tricky track.
We actually missed that spin that you were referring to at the end of the race. We misspoke and thought that maybe you may have stopped and put on a fresh set towards the end because you had one in the bank and the lead to play with. What happened? Did the car sustain damage in that late race incident?
Oh yeah, we same thing as the first spin early in the race, in that same right-hand corner, hit that bump the wrong way, and it got loose, and I smacked the left side wall. Somehow, you know, kept it going, so I didn't have to, you know, if I would have had to tow, it would have been game over, but ended up making it down to the pits, used my quick repair, and got out, you know, about half a second in front of Chubb, and that's what set up that battle. Definitely made it a little bit more intense than it needed to be. Definitely made it a little bit harder on myself, but you know, I knew I had to. What did Lightning McQueen say that one time? You know, just wanted to give the fans a little sizzle.
Now, one of the other things that we think may have parlayed into your success in the late stages was the fact that you had bankrolled your push to pass to the very end, at least from the telemetry we were getting. But that's got to be a little bit intimidating, knowing that you're now entering these 90-degree corners with more speed than you have all night. What was it like trying to manage that advantage with the upcoming disadvantage of going into these bumpy corners with a little bit more pace than you have all night long?
Yeah, I knew I had to brake a little bit earlier, but I knew if I had all 10 in the bank on the last lap, and I knew if I just used him up every single straightaway I could, then that was probably going to, you know, keep him away from being able to get in there. I knew there's not a lot of passing opportunities on this track as it is, but I knew if I just, you know, kept the straightaways, you know, good and didn't let him by, and then we'd be in. Yeah, I definitely broke a little bit earlier, and was that definitely had that in the back of my mind.
Well, it's been an incredible run for you on the road and street courses. Unfortunately, this is the last one of the season, but I think this was the most challenging. A lot of people left the night frustrated, and you yourself referenced 2 mistakes that you had. What are your thoughts overall on this Chicago, and I will use the term fictional street course because this is pretty much a concept that the sim designed. What are your thoughts on this track as a whole, and as far as how the IndyCar itself is able to navigate around this 2+ mile layout?
I mean, honestly, this track is really fun. Once you get into a rhythm, it drives really nicely, I have to say. There's a bunch of corners I really enjoy. The only problem with it is, like, there's just bumps where the car will just, you know, it'll just get unhappy and the car will go around without any warning. And it's, honestly, I think a lot of people will agree that, you know, a lot of accidents happen tonight that really nobody could have done anything about. I mean, it's, especially in sim, when you know, it's already hard enough at these street courses on iRacing. This track, as bumpy as it is, and in an IndyCar with as tight as straightaways, tight corners, it's just so easy for the car to get upset. And I knew that this was going to be a tough one, and not a lot of people were going to finish. I honestly did like 25 laps last night, did a full fuel stint. Just wanted to, you know, be comfortable, so I knew I could finish the entire thing. Because the next week in Kentucky, I'm actually going to be gone in North Carolina doing some work, so this is exactly what I wanted to do, so I could hopefully, by the time Auto Club rolls around, still be in the points contention.
Let's see how the entry blank kind of fills out there. But Kyle, on a track as tough as Chicago tonight, we saw everybody have issues. Nobody did it better than you. Your second win of the season. You were 6th in points coming into the night. Top 3 did not make the trip, the virtual trip, I'll say, to this venue tonight. So momentum's on your side. I'm sorry to hear you won't be with us in Kentucky, but we're looking forward to you coming back at Auto Club. Real quick, before we let you go, to give you a chance to celebrate this one, who makes it possible for you?
Go check out my YouTube channel at Racing Nation TV. Just type in Racing Nation TV. No spaces in the YouTube search. Also, new gen LED lighting in Belleville, Ohio. If you need lights for your garage, lights for parking lots of your business, definitely go call us and we'll get you hooked up. Kart Chaser also on YouTube, Instagram as well. Go follow them. Doing work for them in North Carolina next week at Mooresville. Go to GoPro Motorplex for the IME Nationals, presented by Kevin Harvick and Hunt Brothers Pizza. That's going to be a lot of fun. We do a lot of great content, and definitely go check it out.
I'll be working with Xander Clements and Will Power in the upcoming weekend. I've been keeping eyes on that, but I might have to swing by there. That's about 15 minutes from the house, so maybe I'll stop by and say hello. Kyle Cuthbertson, great job tonight. Good luck in covering that race for Kart Chaser and more. And if we don't talk to you next week, we'll see you in Fontana, buddy.
Thank you.
Again, that's Kyle Cuthbertson, our winner here tonight. And one of the slogans that we normally use is we say the box score is going to make it look like he dominated from start to finish. He did, but he was under heavy fire with the driver who's standing alongside of JP Costa, our runner-up tonight on the evening, and Matt Chubb.
So Matt, obviously we do have quite a few points to talk about in your race. It was kind of a roller coaster of a race, but we saw a lot of mistakes happening on the race, you know, in practice, qualifying, and the race itself. And, you know, the win, even though Cuthbertson also said that some of those mistakes, you know, it wasn't even the driver's fault, it was just kind of a combination of those things, and you were a victim of a spin, you know, quite later on in the race. Just how difficult is it to drive these Indy cars around the streets of Chicago?
It was really tough. I'm sweating. I mean, that's the toughest track we're going to go to this year, that's for sure. As far as, yeah, the roller coaster, the unfortunate start, that was super unfortunate, which made me have to really push hard the whole rest of the race. And a couple of those, I had a couple spins that didn't have damage, so I was able to keep going, but I was losing time, and which meant I had to just push even harder and risk spinning more. But the bumps are crazy, and sometimes you just get on the gas a bit too early and the rear wheels just spin. So yeah, a lot of times there's nothing you can do.
And obviously adding to that challenge, you know, just the walls just getting closer and closer, as you mentioned, the bumps. As soon as you get it within a fraction too early, you're just gonna spin out. And obviously when you have a car in front of you, I guess obviously you do have a bit of that dirty air. Just how difficult was it to follow first Zach, you know, and then later on Kyle? But Zach, how difficult was it trying to line up a move on one of the part of the circuit to try and get that place?
Just about impossible. I was just trying to stay as close to the guys in front of me as I could to put pressure on them and hope that they would screw up. Now, in the back of my mind, I was thinking if they screw up and hit the wall, I'm just going to get collected. But it was a chance I had to make. The other problem I had was I could not find my push to pass button. So, man, I wish we could have known how this race would have went if I didn't get taken out in the first corner and if I knew my push to pass button.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of talking about it, you know, just what could have been. Obviously, that first corner incident was, I mean, it was unfortunate that it happened to you, and then the mistake later on, you know, if those things didn't happen, probably you would have come out ahead of Kyle after his spin. But, you know, he was kind of nursing a bit of damage as far as I could tell. And were you thinking about maybe just trying to dive bomb him on the latter few laps, just trying to get as close as possible to try and make that move work for the winning place, essentially?
There were a couple spots that I was thinking about it where I was able to break in deeper than him. The other thing I noticed is he was on the red tires all night and I was on the blacks. I just felt more comfortable with them, felt they lasted longer. So yeah, there were a couple spots. I was really good around the half moon. I would go up into fourth gear and I was able to hold it flat out. So man, that last lap, I could have tried to dive bomb him into the second to last corner, but I think I was just a little bit too far back.
We kind of saw your nose just poking a bit out on that second to last corner. Unfortunately, it was quite close, and you touched on a really good point, the tire selection. Kyle elected to go the full race on those reds, on that softer compound, while you, on the other hand, just elected to go on the blacks. As you mentioned, you felt a bit more comfortable, but was it practice, you know, just the tire wear? What was it that made you choose the blacks over the reds?
The practice, I ran a few practice laps last night, and then I just got in the lobby early today to kind of run. And just talking with my teammate Zach, we kind of both just decided that the blacks were the way to go. Zach had a little more practice on the red, so I got a little intel from him. So we just decided to go the black tire route.
Well, it worked, I guess. Finishing second is obviously a great place. You had an amazing pace at the end, you know, just confidence. We're looking at some replays and just how close you got to the barriers. You were precise, I guess that's a perfect word, throughout the race, and, you know, that's something you should definitely be proud of. But before I let you go, who do you have to thank for your second place result here tonight?
Yeah, just want to thank God, thank my new wife, April, for allowing me to do this on weeknights throughout the week, and yeah, Lincoln Electric, if you're looking for a welder out there, Weld Red.
Well, congratulations on the wedding. Hope to talk to you next week, and, well, we'll catch you on.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that was Matt Chubb's second place finisher, just so close to winning the race. But, Eric, I'm going to be passing back to you for a third place finisher, Zach Buchanan.
Zach Buchanan is someone who is quietly starting to work his way up towards the top of the championship standings. We'll go over that in a minute, but Zach, like Matt Chubb, you too were unable to avoid some of the contact in turn one on lap one. Now, it looked like your front wing got a little bit of a clip there. Did that put you behind the 8 ball right off the jump, and how hard was it to not let that deflate your approach to this 47-lap race on a track as tough as Chicago?
Honestly, the contact on lap one, that didn't really do anything. It was just the front wing came down, replaced it. After that, it was just felt like we were on rails. Kyle, myself, Brendan, Cole at one point. It seemed like we were all pretty similar in pace. Really, the car was fine after the wing change, and then I just smacked the wall late in the race. Had to pit for a quick repair. Honestly, if not for that, probably would have, probably had a shot at the win there. But there's always things you can look back at and say I could have done this better. But I mean, still a podium, still good points. The biggest thing that kills me is didn't score any bonus points today. I mean, Kyle scored pretty much max points, and he's only 1 point behind me now. And we didn't score any bonus points. So bonus points are huge, especially heading down the stretch. Got 2 races left, and honestly, just gotta regroup from here. I know it's kind of weird to say regroup after a P3 finish, but just gotta regroup and kill it the last 2 races.
Well, hats off to you and your team because, you kind of were able to link us over to the updated point standings. And you used the term regroup. You gained 3 spots in the standings, and you're 5 points out of the lead over Rick Ray Vaughn, who is not in the field tonight with 2 races to go. So I hear the term regroup, and I'm curious as to how that's the notion, especially considering the fact that we're going to 2 ovals. Granted, they're totally different, and you've run very well. Granted, you haven't gone to victory lane, but this is your 7th top 5 in a season that has seen 9 different winners. This is one of the most competitive IORL seasons that we can recall, and we still have a lot of front runners who have yet to find victory lane in championship contention. I mean, what are your thoughts? Obviously, when we get to the ovals, we normally see the participation count go up, and there's a lot more variables that enter the fold because the playing field is a little bit more level. But for you, who's been consistent on everything you've driven so far this season, you got to like your odds at this title here a little bit, maybe to back up what you did back in season 1. You kind of want to bookend your championship stint here on IRL, and it looks possible, don't you think?
That's definitely possible. The biggest thing that I look at going into races, especially in the point scenario we're in right now, is consistency, eliminating those mistakes and just being smooth. And definitely didn't have that today. Got to eliminate those mistakes and just survive. There's been a lot of races this year that, I think back to Long Beach, first race, would have easily had a podium if not for, some mistakes that I had. But yeah, you make a good point. We've been there. We've been close. It's just about finishing the deal. And, Kentucky, we've never raced there. The league's never raced there before. So it's new for everybody. It's kind of, I guess, something positive to look at. And then Auto Club, I've won there before, so I'm very excited to go back there. It's going to be a night race, so that should be pretty exciting, I think.
I want to add the fact you also won the Season 3 championship, so you're going for your 3rd in 12 seasons. That would put you, if I do the math correctly, 25% of the potential titles you've won. And your involvement in the series is very important. You mentioned that the series has never gone to Kentucky. Obviously, the series has never gone to this track here tonight. This track only rolled out 5-6 weeks ago. I know a lot of the drivers said it's bumpy, it's tough, it's difficult, but the cream did seem to rise to the top through all the adversity. Your overall thoughts on how tonight went with the inaugural Chicago Grand Prix for IORL?
I think the tone for the race was pretty much set on the first lap, first corner. Seeing kind of what took place. It was just an attrition race, really. Same as Detroit last season. It's a street race. You got to survive, just like Long Beach. You just got to survive, and, a lot of guys didn't, and that's just how it goes sometimes, but it's definitely something to evaluate from a league standpoint of trying to give the drivers tracks that are higher probability of, I guess, success, or at least not crashing out. But it was fun. It's a fun track, but there's definitely some bugs to work out, not only on our end. I think iRacing has some work to do there too, because there's definitely some parts of this track that are a little buggy. but exciting nonetheless. I had fun. It was a pretty good time, I think.
Perspective, we enjoyed it all the way through, and I don't know what more you could ask for. With 2 races to go, top 4 drivers separated by 6 points, top 6 separated by 16 points, heading to Kentucky and Auto Club. I cannot wait to get to next week's event, let alone the season finale. It's going to take place in August. But Zach, before we let you go, first off, thank you for everything that you and your team and everyone at IORL does, and for our involvement, because I know on behalf of Trey Shuttlesworth, JP Costa, and myself, I enjoy these more than I can explain. But for you, who makes nights like tonight with these podium finishes, solid results, now fresh in the mix in the championship fight with 2 races to go, who makes the events and the results and the success that you have behind the wheel of your virtual cockpit possible?
Well, first off, I want to thank all the drivers that show up to these IORL races. These league races are a balance of quality and quantity. Last year we had quantity. Our biggest race outside of Indianapolis was Long Beach. We had 30 cars, and it was a fantastic race. This season, not so much. I mean, we've had, outside of Indy, our biggest field was like 15. But regardless, we have a strong core of drivers, and I'm proud of that. From here on out, it's really just about promoting the league more, trying to get some more faces in here consistently. But I got to thank our core group of drivers, first off, for making these races possible. I got to thank my teammates, Reed Sweeney, who's not here tonight. He's on vacation. Matt Chubb, last season's champion. And then also Evan Stommer, also, kind of was a guest driver tonight for us. He's been a part of the team for about a year now. All great drivers, all great guys. Proud to call them my friends. And from an admin standpoint, I got to thank Spencer Ray, Tim Trowbridge, great admins. They've been a tremendous help to the league. And I got to thank you guys, because you guys are the ones that make us look good. Kill it on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, and of course YouTube, Twitch, all the content you guys put out for us. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate the opportunity. You mentioned Evan Stommer. I've called many a Margay Ignite kart races he's been in, been following him in USF 2000. Was really happy to see him on the entry list. Happy to see everybody on the entry list, because you guys have assembled a really top-notch field of open wheel sim racing talent. And as I mentioned, I'm hyped to get to Kentucky and Auto Club, and just to kind of see how this championship picture kind of pans out, especially with the battle being so tight. And you're right in the thick of it, Zach. We may be talking a lot more as the season winds down, but good luck the rest of the year.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Again, that is Zach Buchanan rounding out our podium. And again, thanks to Zach, he kind of gave us a little quick glimpse as to what the championship points look like going forward. Rick Rayvon holding a 5-point advantage as things stand right now over Zach Buchanan, who we just heard from. Kyle Cuthbertson moves up 3 spots. We heard him mention, due to his aforementioned obligation at GoPro Motorplex, the same week as the Bluegrass 200 at Kentucky, will not be in the field there, but he is 6 points behind your championship leader, tied with Brendan Madonia, while Reed Sweeney and Spencer Ray, by virtue of not being in the field, they've fallen back to 5th and 6th respectively, 14 and 16 points out of the championship. And Matt Chubb, who's going to need a lot of fortune on his side and a lot of participants in the field at Kentucky and Auto Club, 47 markers out in 7th place in the standings. JP Costa, man, what more could you ask for in an open wheel series like this?
I mean, this finale is just lining up to be something special. I mean, 2 races to go, the championship this close. I mean, you'll be mad not to join him, because it's just so much can happen, and I mean, it's just gonna be going down to the wire. And well, I mean, it's just gonna be close. The next 2 races, they're gonna be so much pressure on some of these drivers, and well, they'll definitely have to pull up their next level. I mean, they're gonna have to elevate everything that we saw here today to make sure, well, if you're leading, you keep the lead of the championship. If you're chasing, you want to get that championship lead, don't you?
And I absolutely appreciate Zach Buchanan for, kind of, he sent those standings over to us, so we had him to kind of elaborate on. That's some quick work. Sometimes they're a real-life racing series who will wait weeks to update their championship standings. We appreciate that. Here's a look at how things ended when we finished up our 47-lap foray around the streets of Chicago. Cuthbertson, Chubb, Buchanan, your obvious podium. Matt Skipper, who ends up getting pretty much the sportsmanship award of the race. He went off more times than I can count. He stayed in it and fought to the end. And Brendan Madonia, despite having the heaviest crash of the night, rounds out your top 5. And when we look at those points, he's right up there in that mix. His ability to stay in there and record himself another top 5 on the season, that in fact was his 8th top 5 finish, albeit the crazy circumstances for Madonia, with Rexford, Walsh, Fralick 6th, 7th, and 8th, all of which had their own problems throughout the night. Paul Foddy in 9th, and Evan Stammer, who we mentioned, and also we heard Zach Buchanan mention. Between all that he's got going on in the real-world side of racing, that number 53 has adorned the side of his race cars and his go-karts for many, many years. It was an honor to have Stammer in the field. We wish him the best of luck in the rest of his USF 2000 campaign and his kart races that are upcoming. And Nate Stewart, who had to pull out of contention while battling for 3rd due to a personal situation that he had unfold on his end. All is well. He let us know that everything's okay on his end, but it was obviously more important than his fight on the Chicago streets here tonight with IORL. Nate's a character. Got a chance to meet him a little while ago, and he's just a great guy through and through. As we mentioned, we've got a lot going on here on the platform, but we have a lot of people who make it possible. But we also got a lot going on here with the schedule that is upcoming for IORL. And we'll start it off with Kentucky. That's going to be 1 week from tonight. I cannot wait. As a matter of fact, I'm probably a little bit too hyped considering all the things that are happening here on the platform, but I'm definitely looking forward to the next race at Kentucky Speedway. We heard Zach Buchanan mention they've never run here before, so the record book is clean and bone dry. There is nothing that compares to Kentucky over the last 11 seasons of IORL competition. We're going to find out what that track's going to do for us July 28th, and it's all going to come down to the California 500. August 11th, mark it down on your calendars. That's where this ultra-tight championship fight, it seems to be a trend in open wheel racing, if I would say, is going to come down to a deciding bout, and that will be on August 11th. Both of those races here on Pit Stop TV live. Can't wait until we get there. Now, we do have a good bit of racing upcoming here on the platform, including tomorrow night. If you're into sports car racing, the North American Racing League is going to be in action 9:15 p.m. from the Hockenheim Ring tomorrow night on Pit Stop TV. Next Tuesday, if you want to get your stock car racing fix, we'll have Newark in action with just 2 races left to go before they reset their championship chase. They'll be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's the current day version of Atlanta. That is literally, as we speak, being dug up in a real-life sense for its reconfiguration. We'll be on the traditional 1.5-mile oval and layout that we just saw the Cup Series drivers on a few weeks back. 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday night for the Newark iRacing Series. And as we mentioned, IORL back in action next Wednesday night, 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time is when we're going to go live from the Kentucky Speedway that has not seen an IndyCar event for about a decade. They'll host it on the online platform for the IORL here on Pit Stop TV Live, and we'll see if that championship fight can ratchet up even tighter heading into the Fontana finale. So much to look forward to, and so many people who make it possible. As we mentioned, we've had an all-star crew here tonight with JP Costa joining me on the call, Trey Shuttlesworth doing an amazing job on the production element. We've actually got dual crews in action tonight. If you head on over to some of the social media channels that we've got up and running, the Outlaw Sim Series is in action at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And once we sign off here, thank a couple of our partners and bid farewell to all of our viewers and listeners and watchers. If you got some time, you can head on over there and perhaps check out the final stage from Homestead after Greg Holt captured the win in stage number 2. The Outlaw Sim Series and the trucks in action under the lights at Homestead Miami. You can check that out once we sign off here in a few minutes from now. I'll take this opportunity real quick to thank some of the amazing partners that we have on the platform, and a lot of them do so much for us to be able to have the fun that we have on many nights throughout the week. Most importantly, our friends at Tucson Sound Art. You heard us shout them out there now, sponsoring our white flag coverage here on Pit Stop TV. And the way that it works is you pick your picture, your music. So for Kyle Cuthbertson, if he wants that wonderful podium picture of him at the start-finish line straight at Chicago, he can send that over to our friends at Tucson Sound Art, TucsonSoundArt.com. They'll take that image, build in a Bluetooth speaker and a high-quality framed canvas. And now with Sound Art, he will have not only an incredible image to hang up in his office, bedroom, living room, you name it, but will also have the ability to produce any type of Bluetooth-capable audio and sound that he would like, including our broadcasts on Pit Stop TV. TucsonSoundArt.com to learn more about their products that they have available. And when you go to the checkout line, make sure you enter promo code PitStopTV to receive 10% off your purchase. TucsonSoundArt.com, one of the premier partners we have here at Pit Stop TV. We also have our friends at Race Pace. Now, I would have been all over our buddy Tyler, who heads up our friends at Race Pace Setups. There's a Discord link down below on the lower right-hand portion of your screen. Check that out. See our friends at Race Pace. Race Pace is a true all-rolled-into-one driver development service and setup shop. They pretty much kind of make sure that you are on your A game for your next and upcoming event, especially when it comes to road racing. Again, our buddy Tyler is a real-world race engineer, and he will do everything in his power to help you step up your game before your next race. You can pick up the pace with Race Pace Setups, another premier partner here on Pit Stop TV. Another longtime partner on the platform is our friends at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Because when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. They have locations in Auburn, Lewiston, Naples, and Saco, Maine. They continue to grow their client base, and they continue to excel in terms of permanent makeup needs and services. The website is down below, permanentmakeupinmaine.com, to learn more about their services. The owner, Ashley Bullier, certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and most importantly, personalized services. Contact them via their website or the phone number that's available here, 207-358-8683. Or perhaps the best, most selling point they have to offer, check out their social media channels to see before and after photos, testimonials, reviews, and so much more. PermanentMakeupInMaine.com. Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. We're also brought to you by our friends we also have BAM Racing Videos, the newest partner here. As a matter of fact, Brandon Mettler's been working alongside Andrew Cardinale IV at Charlotte Motor Speedway and other racing events all throughout this portion of the United States. And Brandon Mettler heads up BAM Racing Videos. He is a very skilled videographer, covers more than just motorsports, but that is his passion. And if you want to check him out on social media, he's always sharing some unique footage, whether he was able to capture it himself or fellow motorsports videographers were able to capture some of the most incredible moments around the country and world. BAM Racing Videos, by a race fan, for the racing community, and the newest partner to the Pit Stop TV platform, BAM Racing Videos. Check them out on social to learn more. And finally, Whiplash Media, pitstop.com, pitstoptv.com/Whiplash Media. They specialize in various sim racing resources, whether it be paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera paths like what you saw here tonight in Chicago, and so much more. They are the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. Grab your iBroadcast cameras today at pitstoptv.com/Whiplash. Well, JP, we got to do our due diligence and thank all those who make nights like tonight possible. But we thought we were going to see a runaway right at the end there, a mistake by Cuthbertson that point blank we did not see. But it unfolded with us seeing a thrilling shootout to the finish. Cuthbertson getting the win, Chubb settling for second, Buchanan third, and closing up the points deficit. Boy, I don't know about you, but I can't wait till next week for Kentucky, man. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, it's a week off from now, but what a race. I mean, obviously we didn't have the car count we kind of expected, but even with the lower car count, you know, these guys just put on an amazing show. And if you think the next two races are going to be ovals, and the next two races might decide the championship, and the car count might be through the roof, I mean, it can only get better. And obviously, these guys seem to love oval racing. Everybody loves oval racing, especially with IndyCars, so we're in for a show, and, well, I just cannot wait for next Wednesday to see what these guys are going to be up to, because the level is definitely going to be up, and, well, the title fight is definitely on.
There are a lot of people on our team who wish they could have been in the field tonight. Trey Shuttlesworth, our producer, he won the last race out at Watkins Glen. He said if he wasn't handling our production duties, he would have been out there. Andrew Cardinale IV, he's en route to Lanier. In fact, he's at Lanier. Hopefully he's packing out and heading back home by now. Covering events for NBC Sports Track Pass. He said if he wasn't tied up there, he would be in this field. I know a lot of people are trying to re-rack their schedules for an opportunity to compete at Kentucky or Auto Club, and I cannot wait to see what type of field that we have there. And as you see on the bottom portion of your screen, there are a number of ways to keep up with all that is happening here on Pit Stop TV. Try it on Facebook at facebook.com/pitstoptv/ Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV/ there, Twitter.com/pitstoptv_/ and my go-to point where I'm going to go turn on the Outlaw Sim Series and hear Emerson Arden and company are handling the trucks at Homestead, youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1/ to watch all your favorite sim racing action on what I would consider to be the best iBroadcast provider that there is out there at Pit Stop TV. I'm out of breath, I'm exhausted, and I want to get closer to Kentucky. So with that, we're going to bid you all farewell from the virtual beautiful backdrop of Chicago, Illinois, right up against Lake Michigan, on a venue that may one day rue itself to life on the streets of Chicago. Congratulations to Kyle Cuthbert Sim. What an amazing job by the entire IORL field here tonight, and an even better job, and hats go out to our entire Pit Stop TV crew. We truly couldn't do it without you. On behalf of Trey Shuttlesworth, JP Costa, I'm Eric Brennan. We will see you all next time on Pit Stop TV. For more racing, tune on over to the Outlaw Sim Series as they're underway in Stage 3 for the trucks. But until next time, we'll see you soon. Good night, everybody.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system.